Hi, I'm Venus O'Hara and welcome to another video. Today I wanted to make a video that's a little bit different from my other videos. I wanted to talk about toxic people and toxic relationships. Well, talking more about toxic friendships, not really the emotional toxic relationships. Well, they are emotional, I guess, but I don't mean the romantic toxic relationships. Anyway, I wanted to make this video for quite a long time, but I didn't really know how to formulate my opinions, and I thought it was an interesting or important subject because I think everyone goes through this in life. You know, we have some relationships in our lives that we hold on to because we think we should and not because we want to. And I've had lots of experience with this and I wanted to share my own insights. I made a video maybe a couple of years ago about toxic people, and I think I might have explained how I have eliminated the toxic people from my life. But I wanted to talk today about what happens after you eliminate toxic people from your life. I think it's a really interesting process, actually. Imagine I'm an orgasm activist and I have the most fun job in the world. My life is pretty fun as well, and I'm very happy about it, but not everyone in my life has been happy about it. I think sometimes it can challenge their own mentality, their own thoughts on sex. It's something that really does make people uncomfortable, as fun as it may be. Even people who claim to be quite liberal and open are very uncomfortable about sex. It's something that people do in private. They don't really share that many details about it. So for someone like me just to be kind of open and talking and writing articles about blowjobs, anal sex and all this as if it was the most normal thing in the world, and people kind of go, ah! But anyway, you don't need to be a sex blogger to have toxic people in your life, that's for sure. But what I have noticed or learnt is that the best thing you can do is to distance yourself from people who make you feel bad. And I think it's one of the best things you can do in life. And it's a very simple test. If you see someone's name on your phone, if they've sent you a WhatsApp or they call you, you see a missed call, you've got to pay attention to your feeling when you see that person's name on your phone screen. Is it, oh yes, I wonder how they're doing, I want to call them back straight away? Or is it, oh, dread? You know, you have to really pay attention to that, because I think it's really important to connect with our intuition. I believe that most of the answers are within, and that sounds really woo-woo, but it's kind of true. And in my life, I've kind of I was feeling lots of increased negativity with certain people in my life, and maybe when I was younger I maybe looked up to these people and thought, oh, they're right because they're older, they know better. But then as you get more and more self-confidence and more confident in your voice and who you are, then you realise, you start to see things a bit differently. And I've had to really distance myself from lots of people and not completely close the door, though. I think that's a bit drastic unless you really have to. But for me, I've definitely distanced people from who have criticised my work, my lifestyle, without offering me anything constructive, you know. I think it's all well and good to challenge people, but when it's kind of like negative all the time, you just have to say, hey, chill out. So what I've noticed after kind of distancing myself and having more distance, let's say not initiating contact with certain people, taking my time to write back, and having a text-only relationship as opposed to phone calls and meeting them. That's how I've kind of, I wouldn't call it ghosting, but it's kind of a semi-ghost thing. And I've realised now that after this distance has been established, then these people who were toxic in my life suddenly respect me more, which is a really sad reality, that people tend to respect strangers more than people who are in their close circle. So this is a really sad reality of life. There is an expression that is familiarity breeds contempt, and I completely agree with that. It's definitely true. So I found that once I've distanced myself from these people who are giving me these terrible judgments and just making me feel terrible, then suddenly they're not so horrible to me. Our encounters that are fewer and further between are actually more positive, thanks to this distance that I've put in place. And I think this distance that I've put in place is an act of self-love at the end of the day. It's me saying to me, you shouldn't have to put up with that. You know, you should be more confident with your own voice and who you are, etc. I don't have to justify myself to anyone. So in this case, I'm kind of talking about maybe friends who people I thought they were my friends, or certain family members as well. So yeah, distance is definitely the key. And what else? And also, when people, you perceive people to be negative in your life, I think it's really important, though, as much as you feel frustration against that person or with the situation, you should always wish them well. I think that's really, really important. I remember I met this woman last year who was coming out of a divorce, and she was very bitter and angry, which is kind of normal considering that it was a 20-year marriage or something like that. And she really didn't want her ex to actually find happiness ever. You know, I can understand that at the beginning of a breakup that can be quite hard. But when this person, he wasn't with anyone else or anything like that. But you should always send love and wish people well, no matter how much they've hurt you. I think that's the best thing, because I do believe in karma, and everything what you put out comes back to you for sure. And one thing that I've done that's been quite helpful for me is that I've done a ritual that's called cutting cords. And if you're interested in this, you can look up, there are many videos about this online, cutting cords. And what it is, it's a kind of meditation, I would say, a ritual that involves you kind of thinking about a certain person and imagining these energetic cords that bind you to that person. And then you just literally just use your hands as scissors and just cut it. Cut. Always sending love, gratitude. Cut. And then until you feel that bond or that cord has been cut completely. And I've done this with a few people actually, and what's interesting about it is that I've found that whenever they came up in my life or on my phone screen or whatever after this process, that I wasn't as bothered as before. It's probably all in the mind, but isn't everything, you know? So I'll definitely recommend that to someone, because we can't really get rid of everyone who's toxic. And even if you don't spend time with someone who's toxic, or you completely cut them off, they can still be living in your head. And for that reason, I think cutting cords is a really good thing to do. Well, I recommend it anyway. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say today about toxic people. And of course, our time is limited. I mean, I'm getting very ruthless about my time and energy, and people trying to suck me into their dramas and their just dramas and things that I'm just not interested in, and gossip and low vibration activities. I'm definitely keeping that out of my life as long as possible. It's hard, but it's definitely possible, and you really should do it just as an act of self-love. So if you have any interesting insights to share about toxic people, toxic relationships, I would love to read them in the comments below. And if you have any requests for new videos about sex toys, orgasmic living, or anything else that I discuss on this channel, then please don't hesitate to contact me at venus@venusohara.org or on Instagram @venusohara. Thanks for watching.